Yes, indeed. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, wherever you are on the planet. Keithy Broom here on a Monday night, as usual. Number 32 for us, which is quite incredible. 32 live hangouts on a Monday night that we've done. So that's covering 52 weeks in a year. So we're well over halfway there for a year online, bringing members up to date with what's going on. And every now and again, when we can twist his arm, we have the owner of the business on, Bill Rowell. And today is one of those days where Bill is in Zurich. So we've got his wisdom and knowledge and updates for 30 minutes. So we'll get to him very, very quickly. But I'll just quickly say hello to Paul Weeks. Now, you're down on the Gold Coast, mate. What is happening on the Gold Coast right now, mate?
Well, mate, we've got everybody here from around the world, Commonwealth countries around the world, getting ready for the Commonwealth Games. So 660,000 new visitors to our little Gold Coast town. So it's going to be pretty hectic down there. And I think everybody's looking forward to it. The weather's great. It's around about 28 degrees. So they've come to the right place, and it should be a very exciting time.
Now, there's a number of venues and outlets accepting Bitcoin, isn't there, down on the Gold Coast now?
They have. As we already know, the Brisbane airport is right up to speed with Bitcoin, and there's a lot of restaurants and bars and other places accepting Bitcoin. And it has also come onto the Gold Coast. We've got about 5 different places on the Gold Coast where the Bitcoin has been accepted right now, and that is growing. So that's a great effort by the Queensland community, and also Queensland government's got a little bit of a hand in that as well.
That's right. We found out last week 2 Australian senators have actually admitted they are holding Bitcoin as well, which is very, very good. That's a positive stuff. That the government members that we vote for are starting to say, yeah, well, yes, I believe in Bitcoin. I've got some myself. That's a very good thing. Now, one contact we met on the Gold Coast, you and I, Paul, is a guy called Paul as well. Now, he started a company called Crypto Kiosk with a K, crypto with a K, and kiosk with a K. So you can search for that online and just see what this guy's done. They're making Bitcoin kiosks to put into hotels and shopping centres with a sort of like an ATM where you can feed your local currency in and upload it directly to your Bitcoin or Ethereum wallet, Litecoin, I think, and Dash. I think they use 4 different wallets in their machines, which is so hopefully he's got a few of those machines out now for the Commonwealth Games, because he'll be doing a roaring trade with all the international visitors coming to the Commonwealth Games. So that's going on for 11 days, starting on Wednesday. So pretty exciting things happening in Queensland, getting to allow people to have a look at Queensland and enjoy the really relaxed lifestyle that we've got here. Now, speaking of relaxed, Bill Rowell, our owners, he's always relaxed. He doesn't do much. He normally sits at home and on his laptop and sends a few emails. If only that was true, Bill. Good morning to you. It's 6 o'clock here in Brisbane. How are you, mate? How's things over in Zurich?
G'day, Keithy. G'day, Paul, and welcome everyone joining your weekly call, which I really appreciate. You do a great job, you guys. So very informative webcasts or podcasts, whatever you want to call it. No, in Zurich, it's a great bit of sunshine today. After this call, I'll be heading to Geneva because I've got a meeting in the morning. So I'll be heading off after we complete this. But yes, I do spend a lot of time on my laptop, but that's the business we're in. I mean, we're globally connected. Here you are in the beautiful Sunshine Coast or Gold Coast. I'm here in Zurich, and we're communicating. We've probably got members from all over the world plugging in as well. So that's how the world's changed. I mean, if you go back a short time, certainly Paul and Keithy remember this. I remember when the first fax machine came in. I mean, it was outstanding. It was outstanding. Like, it was transformational for business, the fax machine, you know. And here we are now. We can do everything on on our phone, live pretty much. So it's incredible. I'm heading to Dubai on Friday. In fact, I'll be meeting Philip Judge and some guys who are the owners of a fully regulated precious metal fund in Dubai. And we've actually, as you know, maybe I've mentioned on this call a few times, that we've been working on a blockchain development for our gold, etc., and silver. And we've been nominated by the Ministry of Economy in Dubai for a startup conference there. So we'll be presenting that on the 9th and the 10th in Dubai at one of the Dubai conventions, which is held by the Ministry of Economy in Dubai, which is going to be fantastic. And there's other avenues to that particular concept that we have. It means a whole new brand name change of Swiss Gold Global, but let's see how it goes at the event at the Ministry of Economy. But it's going to be fantastic for our members as we move forward with that. And then the following weekend, I think it's the 16th, I think it's the blockchain event in Dubai. So I know one of the founders of Genesis Mining will be speaking there. I mean, he's been speaking at many blockchain events around the world, Marco Strang, the CEO. He'll be at this particular event. I'll be at this particular event as well in Dubai. So we have a lot happening in the next 3, 4, 5 months. In fact, the next 12 weeks is pretty critical. What we engineer and what we complete, especially on this new blockchain gold development, which I think is going to be great for our members.
It's interesting you mentioned gold there. I was going to ask you a question, which I might just throw in now. Is gold on the move? Price-wise, is what's happening? Been reading some articles that there's a certain move towards gold now as a security, and there could be some money going into gold to push the price up. Is that true?
Yeah, well, it's been true for a long time, but only for the very probably 1%. I mean, the smart money's been going to gold for some time. Some of the hedge funds or fund managers have been moving money to gold, holding a percentage of their wealth of their fund actually in gold. And why is that the case? Well, you look at the inflationary effects of currencies. You look at the uncertainty in the world geopolitically. You look at the equities markets right now. I mean, gold is a safe haven. Gold is the insurance policy. But there's no question about it as we speak right now. Even with the Chinese yuan-backed petrodollar type thing, there's many shifts happening in the world geopolitically. And whenever there's uncertainty geopolitically, the money flows to a safe haven. The safe haven is the gold. And this is what we've been telling people for 10 years, or educating people for 10 years, that gold's only a very small part of your portfolio. It's liquid, it's inflation-proof, and it's a safe haven. It's an insurance policy, but there certainly there's much more money flowing there. Now, primarily the last, if you look at China, for example, they've increased their gold holdings probably 4 or 5 times since 2008. I mean, they don't disclose the deck of cards. I mean, they're good poker players, and so are the Russians in one sense. But both of those countries and India have significantly been increasing the gold holdings. And why? Well, why would you want to hold on to US dollars, which are losing value in one sense? And this is what happened in 1971, when France realized that the US dollar was losing so much of its purchasing power through inflation. They decided to dump quite a lot of their dollars and exchange it back by law. They could actually exchange it for gold, but there was so much gold leaving the Federal Reserve or the US at that particular time. The US said, "Hey, that's enough." So President Nixon stopped it, and that's when the US dollar, which was actually anchored to gold, was removed from the gold. All currencies were actually pegged to the US dollar. So since then, which is over 40 years, primarily our paper currencies have just been that, paper currencies. And I think this is gold is integrity. When you have paper money when you have cash in your hand, it's someone else's debt. Now that might be a bit hard to understand. There's many videos on that, but primarily, when you go and take out a car loan for $10,000, they don't go to a vault and take out $10,000. They create $10,000. It's a digital entry. Then they'll go and lend 90% of that to another person who wants to borrow the money. To borrow money for different things. And this is how fractional reserve banking actually works. But when you have gold, it's unencumbered, it's true wealth. And primarily, this is the exciting thing about Bitcoin, which is, gold's been money, go back to ancient Egypt times, many, many thousands of years, okay? And this is what's exciting about Bitcoin in one sense. It has many similar characteristics as gold, okay? It's not physical, that's the difference. But as far as scarcity, as far as limited supply, all these types of characters is very, and it costs a lot of money to produce a Bitcoin, it costs a lot of money to produce an ounce of gold. So these characteristics in one sense make the Bitcoin in one sense inflation proof, like gold in one sense over long periods of time. Except the difference is we don't have the history of Bitcoin yet to actually prove that. We don't have the long history. It's only been around since the white paper. I think it's 10 years old. But certainly to answer your questions, there's a lot more money flowing in to gold. And certainly when you go to countries away from the West, I mean, the West, we're being dumbed down to not appreciate or value the understanding of gold as money. But when you go to other countries, I mean, when I was in Panama with Claudia presenting, I met many people from Venezuela. And primarily, their inflation there is 500 to 1,000%. So if you go to work today, and trade 10 hours of your time and get paid X amount of their currency, I think it's $1, but I forget the name of their currency actually, but you get paid X amount of their currency, by the end of the day, it's already lost X factor of purchasing power. This glass of drink, you buy it today, 10 hours later, the price they're saying could be double the price. And this is what's happened in monetary history, except Australia, we've been a bit insulated from that. We haven't experienced that in one sense compared to other countries. And of course, most people don't understand inflation. It's a bit invisible. We just see prices rising, but we never really comprehend or understand what's causing this particular issue. This is the challenge. I mean, if you look at Australia, Australia's had a strong economy, been fantastic. The wealth appreciation, certainly on book value, but it's also one of the mostly highly indebted countries in the world. We might look at our housing values to compare our wealth, but that's only one side to look at. Most people are highly indebted more than ever before. So it's a very fragile plane where we are right now. I mean, when I go back to Australia, it surprises me how, in one sense, the average person, it's probably increased 2 to 3 times the cost to go out to a restaurant, in one sense, in Melbourne, certainly. And I don't know what it's like on the Gold Coast, but the cost of living certainly, I experienced going back there, had certainly increased significantly. And I'm coming from a person that owned businesses in Melbourne and bought a lot of items, and food items, because they owned hotels. So I knew the prices. So, this is the effect of it. And young people, how can young people in Australia buy homes today and get started? As you and I, we're the same age, Keithy. Paul's a bit younger than us. But, when we bought our homes, as young guys, we had the possibility of doing that. If you worked hard, you put some savings together, even in your young 20s, you'd have a go at probably saving and purchasing your first apartment or flat or something like that. Young people today, it's a big call, I think, to be able to do that through the effects of inflation. And gold is the antidote to that. But again, it's just a small part of anyone's holding. And this is not financial advice. Let's be very clear about that. This is what I just believe in, and this is what I do.
Yeah, well, that's great to be part of that, our portfolio as well in Swiss Gold Global, with gold rising in price. I think it's over 1,300, isn't it? 1,350 or 1,380.
And it's also manipulated. This is the thing also. It's also because it's completely changed, because it's a commodity like silver also. Silver's a little bit different. It's also a precious metal being used as money for thousands of years. But it's also the price is manipulated through what we call the futures exchange. They trade the futures contract, which is a non-physical contract. These traders, these bullion banks, the big banking, they can control the pricing of it in one sense, because they never have to actually take possession of the physical gold. And this is what we're seeing since really what we're seeing in Bitcoin right now as well, I believe, with the CBOE, the Chicago Board Options Exchange, and also the CME, the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, the largest exchanges in the world, and now able to trade Bitcoin without actually having an obligation to own it. So they can just, it's like a derivative. They can just bet on it. Yes, it's going to go up, yes, it's going to go down. And their risk is they never have to actually own Bitcoin, but they can influence price. And because a lot of this is institutional money, big money, this is where the game's changed. It wasn't coincidental that it ran up to $20,000 on the 18th of December, then they shorted it, meaning that they sold it short. They could trade the market down, because that's why the price went up there. The smart money, when I say the smart money, let's say institutional money, the big money was flowing in. This is a game. This is what they do. So these exchanges have only been around, for Bitcoin the last, it's 4 months now, I suppose. So it's very early. Where is the market heading? What's going to happen? There's a lot to be revealed there in one sense. But it's great to hear that yourself and Paul confirming that, you know, the adoption of Bitcoin through merchants on the Gold Coast, cafes and different things, restaurants are using it, because this is really the underlying utility of it, isn't it? It's a service that people are actually be able to do. And I mean, we accept gold. Sorry, we accept gold too, but we accept Bitcoin for payments for gold and silver. So we believe in it as money. We believe in it as currency. But we're also conscious that there's an exchange rate between Bitcoin and the US dollar. There's an exchange rate between Bitcoin and the Australian dollar. There's an exchange rate between Bitcoin and a gram of gold. So you need to be aware of those exchange rates. I mean, I can remember going to America, my first trip overseas in 1980, the Australian dollar was worth more than the American dollar. Now, throughout history, that's happened a few times. Not all that often, but it has happened. But of course, it's not the case right now, in one sense. And so these are just exchange rates, and they're exchange rate risks. So when you're owning Bitcoin, you know, and you're comparing it always to a US dollar, in one sense, you just have to be aware that there's an exchange rate risk there. But I believe it's going to be around for a long time. I believe as the adoption increases, I mean, it's licensed as a trading commodity on the largest exchanges in the world. That's a stamp of approval by the highest authorities that it's a real deal, that it is a commodity. But of course, most people, I still think the mass markets out there don't have any idea about Bitcoin. So we still have a long way to go on the adoption side. But the last 6 months, the awareness, the education of what is Bitcoin through the media, through the price hitting 20,000, and of course now coming back down, retracing down 60%, has certainly put Bitcoin into the news. And people are thinking about what is it, they're questioning it, they're getting all these, different feeds of information that's going to crash, it's burned, it's finished with. And the other side is it's in capitulation, it's going to break out and head back up again. The thing is, it's all about the adoptions, it's all about the underlying utility. And I'm very positive about that. And that's why we're investing. That's why we're going to the blockchain event in Dubai. I mean, you've got the highest authorities there. So they believe in this industry as well. You just said you had some senators in Queensland. Good to see the Banana Republic's up to date. And the guys are actually owning a few Bitcoins. I mean, it's fantastic. They need to understand this. I mean, the kids understand this. The older generation, like us guys, and even older than us, who are in power in one sense, in Congress and different things, or in the Senate, need to understand this as well, because this is a game changer in the world.
Yeah, certainly the blockchain technology is what, the underlying thing that people are coming to grips with. Now, Paul had picked up some information about the ownership or people are getting involved in crypto in the USA the other day. What was that information you put over, Paul?
8% of American citizens owned cryptocurrency. So 8% of the American population own cryptocurrency. That was the survey that came out around about the middle of March.
All right. Well, just
that's
as
quite significant.
Yeah,
quite significant actually. Yeah,
quite significant.
That's probably why you see the that's probably one of the reasons why the CBOE and CME came into existence to trade it, because the banks and the high authorities to be realize that it's starting to have an impact, and that trend continued so at such a fast, rapid rate. And let's face it, the expansion of Bitcoin the last 12 months, 18 months the expansion has been very, very, very fast. They had to slow it down in one sense. And of course, this sell-off in one sense certainly would have slowed it down to a certain respect until it gets to a level when the buyers will start coming back in again. But,
I think you've hit the nail on the head that it has been slowed down through the exchange, the futures exchange in Chicago in the US. People seeing it being sold off instead of getting involved, hedging their bets, so to speak, and just backing off. We just hit the first quarter of 2018, January, February, March, and it has been quite a trend downward, I guess, from with the highs of 20,000 US for one Bitcoin and the high payouts for our Bitcoin contracts. What's your thoughts? A couple of questions. The video that Genesis Mining put out explaining what's happened to the Ethereum payouts. We've posted that. That's posted in the main corporate Facebook group. I'll post it in Facebook Group Australia one, the Swiss Gold Global Australia group. That explains very, very well what's happened to Ethereum, and it goes into quite technical detail about the blockchain and how that affects payments and payouts, and gives a very good explanation of what's going on there. So for the first quarter being a little bit slow and people getting involved in selling Bitcoin, so the price drops. What's your thoughts, Bill, for the next quarter, leading up to the half year and then the last 6 months of this year? What's your thoughts on what's going to happen in that area?
Well, none of us have a crystal ball, Keithy. You know, let's be real about that. None of us have a crystal ball. I mean, last year was an exceptional year. I mean, really, anyone could have made $1 last year in one sense. And most people, I suppose, are coming in. Depends what your objective is as well. I'm in it because I want to own Bitcoins. Okay, I'm not a seller of Bitcoins in one sense, but many people are in there also to subsidize incomes, etc. So I understand that. So they are in there to actually earn the Bitcoins and then liquidate the cash to actually subsidize some income, which I understand. And that's a smart thing to do. You can never go broke taking a bit of profit. But where are we in 2017? Well, as I said, you know, we look at. I mean, even just the payouts have been reduced over 50 to 60% since December, which of course for many people who joined maybe in November, December, it's been like hit with a sledgehammer. You know, we don't like to see that, but therefore we need to have an understanding of why this is actually happening. When you have an understanding, it's okay. First of all, are you in there to hold the currency called Bitcoin? Are you there to accumulate the currency Bitcoin, and you believe it's going to be around for a long time that you can spend it into the future for goods and services? Or are you there to earn your Bitcoin through the mining and liquidate it to your particular relative currency, whether it's Australian dollar? Now, of course, if you look at the payouts, you know, a few months ago, I mean, that was your strategy. It was a very smart strategy. And if you took some profits, it was a smart thing to do because you would have done exceptionally well. But we're in a different world right now. You know, we look at the payouts, the transaction fees, as I mentioned in the last week's call, week before's call, I think, of Bitcoin towards the later part of 2017 were very high. There was many complaints about the Bitcoin protocol, and that's really why Bitcoin Cash came into existence, was to be the solution for the fee structure for, you know, to counteract the fees problem with Bitcoin. But now that we have the Lightning Network adopted to Bitcoin, of course, it's actually sorted out the transaction fees. But with that said, of course, it means that the transaction fees are much, much, much less, which is fantastic if you're transacting, of course, and sending money. But on the other side, if you're a miner, your rewards have been greatly reduced as well. So we've taken that in the difficulty rate. We've taken a great hit on the payouts on Bitcoin, of course, and other altcoins, etc.
If in the next 3 months, Bill, or next, say, 6 months from now, a lot more people get in and adopt Bitcoin, as you said quite correctly, that there's hardly anyone involved in Bitcoin across the world, even if there's 8% in the US. Across the rest of the world must be less than that for adoption. How will that affect the price of Bitcoin if more people get involved in either buy or buy mining contracts? How will that affect the price? Will that bump it up, do you think?
I think it will, Keith, because you've got this underlying force, which is the futures exchange, which you can trade it. They can trade it long, or they can trade it short, depending upon the trend that they particularly want. This is the big influencing factor, of course. They never have to own a Bitcoin. But we look at the difficulty rate. You know, it hasn't increased this period. So we didn't see an increase in the difficulty rate this particular period, which is interesting, which means things have slowed down quite a bit. We see the price also coming quite back.
It just went up really on Sunday, Bill.
Sorry?
The difficulty rate went up on Sunday, just a marginally went up, just a tiny little bit.
Oh, it did go up a little bit. I didn't think it moved at all. Okay, so it moved a little bit. Okay.
Yeah, a little bit, yes.
But, okay. Yeah, I thought when I looked at it, it hadn't moved at all, but it has moved a little bit. But primarily, and there's times where you see the difficulty rate actually going down, reducing. Not all that often, but it does actually happen in one sense. So I think the adoption, I mean, there's many companies around the world, including ourselves, including, I know, Genesis, many companies who are building more things with you know, asset-backed tokens, using blockchain technologies. Bitcoin will continue to be, it's the godfather of cryptocurrency. It is a currency, it's traded. And, you know, where in the Western world, we can let go of it quite easily because we're in a secure place. But you know what? The majority of the world, in one sense, you can travel the world, there's many parts of the world that don't have that luxury. So for them, Bitcoin is a lifesaver, a huge lifesaver, which you don't realize when you live in a good infrastructured country with a solid, I mean, a country where it has the Swiss franc, which is pretty relatively stable in one sense, or even the Australian dollar in one sense, a good economy, a good infrastructure, a way of life, banking available for everyone. That's not the case for everywhere in the world. We just spoke about Venezuela, which is a small country, but how those people are suffering. Bitcoin for these people, parts of Africa, Asia, is really a lifesaver. So we will see through the emerging markets, I believe, the expansion and adoption of Bitcoin. And the emerging markets is a massive market. It's a huge market. And banking is not available. Normal banking that we would find just, you know, where people, the banks are sending you letters. Keithy, we'll give you a credit card with $5,000 credit on there, and then the next day you get another one from a different. They want to give you credit in one sense. Of course, they'll charge you a 20% interest rate on it when you do use their card. But the point is that's not available in other parts, in all parts of the world. So banking, as we take just as a right in one sense, is not the same. So I think the emerging markets are going to be a huge influence on Bitcoin and the sustainability. It's not going to go away in these parts of the world.
Yeah.
And Argentina, which has huge monetary controls, Bitcoin there is also a lifesaver. So there's many economies where Bitcoin will continue to go and thrive. But the biggest influence, I think, is going to be these exchanges where that heads over the next few months. And I really don't have a crystal ball to give you an answer on that.
Yeah, we've got time for, before you go, Bill, for a couple of questions. One from Bolivian billionaire. Will the cartel ultimately control prices of Bitcoin? Now, I'm not sure what he means by the cartel, but is there any influences out there, you could say, like this futures exchange with the institutional money coming in? Do you think that'll have an ultimate control over the price? Or
well, a cartel is the interpretation of a cartel as an organized group.
Yeah,
primarily that's what a cartel is. So it's a very good question, and I think the influence is happening now through these organized groups, whether it's the Wall Street banking group, these parties, that government groups who want to just maybe stall the growth of Bitcoin. I think for a period of time they'll be able to. I mean, they're having an influence now, I believe. How much into the future they'll have that influence, I really don't know. But as the adoption increases and more people use Bitcoin, they'll have less power, I believe. But all I can say is they do have an influence. I mean, these cartels have an influence on the trading of gold, pricing and different things. And, maybe even the exchange rates between the Australian dollar and the American dollar. Who sets that? I mean, all these things. So to answer the question, yes, there is an influence there, no question about that. How much it will influence in the future, I really don't know.
Yeah. Well, the emerging markets, that's going to be millions upon millions of people getting involved with this small amount. There's millions involved now, but the emerging market, like you say, the Asian, African, South American markets, that's hundreds of millions of people yet to come into Bitcoin to use the blockchain technology. So obviously that's going to have a massive influence when that happens. And that, this is going to happen the next 12 months to 18 months to 2 years, you feel?
Well, a lot of these countries, I mean, you look at the inflation starting to hit parts of the world. They don't want to. I mean, first of all, transacting money cross-border internationally. If I'm in Dubai and if I meet people from Africa there, I meet people from Philippines there. I mean, there's like 1 million Filipinos living in Dubai. We primarily living there for years. They only go home once every 12 or 13, 14 months. They send most of their income home to look after their family, their wives and their children, and of course the extended family that they do. I mean, it's really incredible what these people do. I met Pakistani and bankers and Indian bankers. These guys work and women work 6 days, long days. They have 1 day free, and they go home, I think, once every 14 months, most of them. I mean, and they send most of their income home. So the cost of sending that money home through Western Union and different things is expensive. Okay, so Bitcoin is a great solution to that for them. So to answer your question, I think cross-border transactions and different things, as people become more aware of it, it's going to increase. But it's not such an easy thing for people to actually do it. If you're not used to working with Bitcoin and setting up a wallet process, it's a bit of a blocker for a lot of people because it takes a bit of effort and understanding, doesn't it? Mm-hmm. This is probably one of the biggest challenges that Bitcoin and the technology actually has, in one sense.
All right. We'll let you go after this final question. What do you think your members of Swiss Gold Global, our company, should be doing over the next, say, 3 to 6 months, the next couple of quarters, as far as contracts? We still have Bitcoin contracts available, which is incredible. No one else does. Genesis don't. They don't have anything available. What do you think we should be doing as members about promoting the business, talking to people about it? What sort of things should we be telling people that's going to be happening just in the short term? Because people nowadays, if they want to join a business, they want to know something's got to happen straight away. Not many people are prepared to put effort in to build over time. Everything has to happen today or tomorrow. So what's your message, Bill, just before we let you go? Next 6 months.
I mean, why are you here, Paul? Why are you here, Keithy, in one sense? I mean, what's your game plan? What interests you? I mean, obviously it's the monetary return. You both had long working careers. You're now in retirement, so I suppose the substituted income would be an interest for you. And through mining, and through the ability to compound your mining power for payout, it's a fantastic way of doing it, isn't it? Even though the payouts are greatly reduced. But let's look at the alternative, and I touched on this a couple of weeks ago before. Let's take $1,000 of your hard-earned labour that you've done, whether you're mowing lawns or doing things part-time on the side, as many retirees do, of course, and you put that into the bank to try and get some extra money. Even at, I think Paul told me it's 3% or 3.5% in Australia, even at 3.5%, you're going to have to wait 20 to 25 years to get your money back, in one sense. Now, in most parts of the world, I was speaking to my son here, and I was talking about this, they give it 1%. He said in Germany, they don't even give you 1%. You actually pay the bank for them having your money, in one sense. So, you look at Europe, many parts of Europe, you look at the USA, we're getting less than 1%. You put $1,000 into the bank, it's going to take you more than 100 years to get your money back. And people come into our concept, Swiss Gold Global, of course, there was fast earning returns last year, and they've slowed down and people get very upset. Oh, I'm not making 100% of my money in 12 weeks now. What's going on? You got to put things in perspective here. I mean, there's risk associated with what we're doing. There's no question about that. We're pushing the boundary. But we're in a very exciting sector here, a very exciting sector that's been rewarding. I know it's been rewarding for you, Paul. I know it's been rewarding for you too, Keithy, and many people on this call. And through the concept of compounding. Now, through the concept of compounding, it gives everybody the ability to build some wealth. And you don't really have to put yourself at risk. You could buy a package for $30 or $37, whatever it is to now. You could go out and share it with 100 people or 10 people or 20 people, earn free hash power, and you've compounded your wealth. What's your risk? $37. You could put $5,000 in and do the same thing. Whatever it might be, that's your comfort zone, but you have to be aware of what you're buying. You have to be aware of the risk. But to me, it's the industry. If you understand the industry, you understand the size of this industry, where it's going, where it's expanding to, it's one to be involved in. Yes, it has risk. Yes, the price has come down from 20,000, but only 18 months ago or 15 months ago, actually, it was less than $1,000. So you're looking at the glass is a half full or half empty. In one sense, we just need to have some content of it, and that is we need to have some Bitcoin, and we need to be involved. And I'm a great believer in sharing it because I believe in it. You also have the ability, when you earn some Bitcoins, to convert it to gold and silver. They're on the affiliate program. For $50 a month, which you actually get to own crypto as well, you own a global international business. You own a global business where people can actually generate cash flow. That cash flow can be converted further into Bitcoin mining. It can be converted into gold and silver. Now, who doesn't need extra cash flow in their life? And where do you get an international business, which is borderless, for $50 a month? Actually, it's less than $50. In fact, it's only $37 a month because $13 of it's actually an asset, either crypto mining or silver as we currently speak. So, yes, we do want to have the fast returns and this and that, but it's not just about the fast returns. It's about the sustainability. Do you want a company, whatever you get involved in, you want it to be around in a year from now, 5 years from now, 10 years around? We've been around for 10 years, which is a long time. Been very quietly providing our gold and silver services to members around the world who understand why they need to own gold and silver in a very liquid process. And many of them get their gold for free. Now, if Claudia was here, we always call her the Golden Queen. She's a master at it. I mean, she joined because she understood what gold is. And whatever commission she earned, she would actually convert that into gold. So she was getting her gold for free. It's not a bad concept. You can do the same with Bitcoin mining. For $1.50 a day, I think it is, for $1.50 a day, you own an international business. Now go to Starbucks or go down to your local, Tim Hortons or something, buy yourself a cappuccino. What's it going to cost you, $3? And here for a coffee a day, you own an international business. And if you look at the cup of coffee that you're getting, which is double the price of an international business, even a third of that cup is actually an asset. Now, take your Tim Hortons, within 24 hours, within a couple of hours, we know where it goes, don't we? There's no wealth building there. You have the opportunity to build wealth here, plug it into a leadership, which, like you guys, providing leadership, providing training, providing coaching. It's a global organization. It's borderless. So I'm very passionate about this and that aspect. Now, of course, I would love to see the returns more. I love higher returns rather than lower returns. I think we're all in the same boat there, Keithy.
Yeah.
But what's coming out over the next 12 weeks, if we pull it off correctly, and I think this weekend coming up, on the 9th and 10th in Dubai at this Ministry of, not Ministry of Finance, Ministry of, Ministry of something in Dubai event where we would be nominated for one of the finalists in this startup for our let's say our blockchain gold concept is going to be very, very exciting. It could really set up the foundation of where we're heading into 2018. That's all I can say at this particular time.
Yeah. Okay. Fantastic, mate. Well, it's always really good to have you on the call on a Monday when you can make it. As the members can hear, you never stop. You're all different places, talking to different people to enhance and grow the business week after week, month after month, year after year. 10 years so far and more to come. It's amazing the amount of energy you have, Bill, to keep yourself going and keep the business running as smoothly as we possibly can. And we're here to help you out, passing information on to members. We've had quite a few.
Just on that, Keithy. Yeah. Just on that point, what keeps you going? Let's talk about this a bit. I mean, you guys, it's about purpose. It's about purpose. What is your purpose? I mean, I have a purpose of Cisco Global. It's revolutionary. It's here to help people, regardless of their creed, regardless of their education, regardless of their financial standing. We are here to help people earn an extra buck, increase their financial IQ, connect people internationally. This is a strong in a sustainable way. I'm not going to sell someone into something and then disappear the next day. We know that happens. I've been around for 10 years and I tend to be around, touch wood, for a lot longer, But the point is, it's all about the purpose of where we're heading and what we're providing. And this is why we're putting a lot into this. I'm very excited about where we're heading, more so than probably the first, because gold and silver was probably the first 8 years of my business. The last 2 years moving into a digital currency has been very, very exciting. And the possibilities that come from that spring off from that particular foundation are exponential. And I know we're going to come back into a gold area. You asked me about the gold price earlier on. We're going to come back there because the world realizes, you don't have to be a rocket scientist. You don't have to be an economist to realize things are not right. Just look at the news, the geopolitical news, what's going on, all these different things. So, if you have central banks around the world hoarding gold, megatons of it, there's a reason why they do that, okay? So we should take a chip off their block in one sense, and we can be our own little central bank in one sense. And even if it's buying 1 gram or saving 1 gram, it's a store of value. And then we're going to be able to adopt that to maybe our own particular token or concept or coin that we're having, let's say, within Swissquote Global. It won't be called Swissquote Global. It's going to be open up many avenues for our members into the future. So it's going to be a global liquid wealth building platform as it is now, but it's going to be improved. And if we call it 2.0 now, maybe it's going to be 2.5 when we launch this. So let's see. There's a lot to do, but that's where we're heading.
Very, very good. That's a great insight, Bill, about moving from gold and silver being successful into the blockchain technology and the cryptocurrencies, and fantastic ideas you've got coming in, and things that will happen in the next 6 months, which will go past in a flash. So we'll let you go, Bill. I know you've got to go to a meeting. Thank you very much for your input, as always. Fantastic to have you on the call. And we'll hopefully catch up with you very, very soon, mate.
Sure. Thank you, Keith. Thanks, Paul. And hope everyone had a wonderful Easter if you celebrate that, and have a great Commonwealth Games on the Gold Coast. All the best.
All right. Cheers, Bill. Thanks very much.
Thank you very much, Bill. You too. Have a good one. Be safe.
All right. That was Bill, the owner. Fantastic to catch up with him always. Thanks, everyone, for putting the questions out on the live chat. Amazing how the owner can jump on and chat to us and give us an insight of what his enthusiasm levels are like about what he's got coming up in the business the next 3 to 6 months. He's talking with major people in Dubai over the next 4, 5, 6 days, and all to make sure that we as members can build generational wealth. And that's the key that he wants to impart on us, that he's working hard for us as members. And he's very excited about the cryptocurrency space. A little bit down at the moment, we all know that, but he's obviously saying, just hang in there, folks. We've got plenty of exciting plans, building our own mining farm. We've got talking with these major powers to be about the blockchain technology and how we can use that with the gold and silver that we have inside our business. So very, very exciting times to happen in the next 3 to 6 months. And the great thing about having Bill, Paul, is that we can tap on him every week or every 2 weeks and get an update from the owner of the business, Paul.
Yeah, it brings back the enthusiasm and gets the drive going again, because he's so enthusiastic about what's happening in the crypto world and areas that we don't see, we don't think about, but the emerging markets that he spoke about, they're areas that we not think about. So that gives us all great positive vibe for the future, doesn't it?
Sure does, mate. Yes, you've hit the nail on the head. We're sort of focused on our own little world, whereas Bill's focused on the whole world, because there's so many things out there that he's got his finger on and knows what's going on, and the opportunities there to grow the business, as he said, exponentially, which is pretty exciting. So I think 2018 will be a very, very exciting year for all of us. We're just having a little bit of a setback at the moment, income-wise. A lot of us are buying the contracts so we can earn some Bitcoin, convert it into local money, and supplement our lifestyle so that we don't have the bills to worry about when they come in on a monthly or a 3-monthly basis. So always great to happen with Bill on and getting the feedback. He's got some obviously high-powered information coming on with the meetings he's got in Dubai in the next 5 to 7 days. So fantastic. Well, Paul, we'll leave it there because we want to do a short one tonight. All the best with the Commonwealth Games down there. Are you running in any events yourself?
Yeah, I entered the high jump, but I did a hemi.
Yeah, the high jump, and that's for the over 65s category, is it? That's the
yeah.
Yes or no?
That was the over 65 category.
yeah. And you did a hammy. That was just getting out of the car in the car park. All right, mate. Well, good luck on the Gold Coast with your events, and we'll see you next week. It's been number 32, which is pretty incredible. We've done that many, and many, many more to come. So great to hear from Bill. Hope everyone has a fantastic week. just stay positive about the opportunities here. Talk to people about Swiss Gold Global in as far as what exactly this says here, building generational wealth with your gold and silver, Bitcoin mining contracts, which we still have. And as Bill said, if you're buying a $35.80 Bitcoin mining contract and you have to talk to people and introduce them and earn some hash power yourself, then that becomes free Bitcoin that you're earning through the hash power that you get through talking to people about our business. We've got so many things happening this year as we go along, and that's why we want to get Bill on every couple of weeks if we can. He will open up to the members in detail of what the plans are for this company. He's always let us know that second half of 2018, we're going into our own mine in conjunction with Genesis Mining. That'll be absolutely sensational. Takes a lot of planning, and he's pouring millions of his own money in there to do that. Now this talk with the gold and silver blockchain app that he's talking about company representatives in the next 5 to 7 days. That'll be exciting to learn more about that over the coming weeks. So we'll leave it there, folks. Have a fantastic week and make sure you stay positive. Talk to people about Swiss Gold Global, and we'll see you next week. See you later, Paul. Take it easy, mate. And see you later, everybody. Bye-bye.